Did you know that discipline is the highest form of self-love? Why? Because it is discipline that reveals the commitment that you have to your dream, especially on the days you don't feel like showing up. Now, some would like to argue that the highest form of self-love is consistent self-care and accepting one's flaws. But I'm going to tell you why those are simply a natural byproduct of discipline. Stick around, because today not only am I going to give you a short quiz to see just how disciplined you are, I'm also going to offer you 4 ways that you can get started working on your highest form of self-love, discipline. Hi, my name is Rachel, and for the past several months I've committed to this one habit that has been completely changing my life. Now, I didn't implement this habit initially for any other reason than it just had to be done. But because I have been disciplined enough to stick with it, I've noticed a natural shift in my happiness. And of course, you're probably asking, well, what is it that you've done? But I need to tell you first that it isn't what I've been doing. It isn't the act that I've been doing. It is the discipline behind the act. It's the consistency of acting each and every day. Discipline. So what is it? Okay, over 5 months ago, I made a decision that I was going to get up every morning at 4:15. I wanted to be able to spend at least 45 minutes working on creating videos with a guaranteed uninterrupted time. Even on vacation, I set my alarm and I still get up committed to this habit. And while some days I feel tired, I have noticed my overall happiness has increased. But the funny thing is I didn't even realize it was happening. It was just a natural byproduct of discipline. Discipline is the ability to pursue what you think is right despite the temptation to abandon it. And as I prepared this video, I noticed a man jogging down the street in the pouring rain. Discipline. All over Facebook as the 2024 Paris Olympics are underway, I'm seeing reels of Olympian defeats as they were younger children, matched side by side with their victories, their current victories. Discipline. And this is why discipline is the ultimate form of self-love, because it is what is on the other side of the finish line that we don't see when we decide to commit to being disciplined. We don't see it right away. We only see it as an end result. We only see it later. I digress. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how disciplined do you think you are and why? I want you to put it in the comments, and you're gonna see mine down there too. So go check it out. All right, so here's the thing. It's really easy to show up for yourself when you're having a good day. It's easy to commit to your behaviors, your goals, your dreams, all of that when you're feeling motivated. That spark that lights your fire is easy to ignite on these days. But it's when you find yourself in the face of a setback, when you find yourself having a hard day, it's those days when your discipline shines through that you truly show yourself love. And that's when you get to say that you're committed. When you're in a good place, you don't even look at showing up like discipline. Why? Because you're motivated, you're excited, things are going great. It's easy to see the progress and the successes happening. And on the days that you feel like giving up, on the days you feel defeated, on the days that something didn't go as planned, these are the days that get to prove whether you're disciplined or not. And in fairness, you don't get to say that you're disciplined until you face these days. Why? Because that's when the true test happens. I said earlier that I was going to explain to you why consistent self-care and accepting your own flaws are just the natural byproducts of showing up for yourself. Discipline. You see, when you're disciplined, you're looking setbacks in the face and saying things like, I'm going to figure out what I need to do to get this done. I'm going to figure out a way to make this happen. By asking these questions, you are figuring out, do I need self-care? Do I need some more socialization? Do I need to implement some new learning strategy? You're constantly giving yourself feedback and showing up in the way that you need to. That's what we call self-care, because self-care is taking action to improve or preserve your health. It's a byproduct of discipline. How then does the byproduct of accepting your flaws come into play? Well, when you're disciplined, you're constantly asking yourself those questions that you need in order to improve. And when you do this, you automatically begin to notice your shortcomings or flaws. But it's in these instances that you are likely more accepting of them because you're always seeking to improve, or you're always committing to a way to make it work. This looks different, of course, depending on your personal situation. But for example, if I wanted to create a video and I wasn't a very good editor, without discipline, I'm going to give up. I'm going to use that as my excuse to not keep going on, to not move forward. But if I'm disciplined, I'm going to acknowledge that I'm not good at it, and I'm going to make a decision. I can decide to A, become better at my editing talents, which is going to take time and effort, but if I'm disciplined, then I'm okay with that. Or B, I'm going to say, okay, this is one flaw that I don't really want to work on, but because I'm committed to my goal and I'm disciplined enough to understand that this flaw is here, I'm going to find a way to make it work. And how might I make it work? Maybe I hire somebody to do it for me. Whatever it is, when you're disciplined, your focus is on becoming better and improving, not finding reasons to give up. Interesting fact, according to Forbes magazine, people who are disciplined are happier in general. Why? Because disciplined people have good habits set in place. And when you have good habits set in place, you're more consistent in reaching your goals and accomplishing tasks. You see, when we accomplish something, no matter how trivial, that sense of accomplishment releases dopamine. And dopamine acts on the area of the brain that gives you pleasure and makes you feel good. And a little side note, disciplined people are also better at resisting temptations and acting on impulse. Let's take a quiz to see how disciplined you really are. Now grab a pen and paper, or you can use your right and left hand. Right hand A, left hand B. Hands up, closed fists. And every time you answer A, you can put a right finger up. Every time you answer B, you can put a left finger up. Question 1. How do you handle tasks that you find difficult or unpleasant? A, I tackle them head on. I know that they're important for growth. Or B, I like to focus on the easier tasks first. I might come back to them later. Question number 2, how often do you follow through with the goals you set for yourself? A, I follow through most of the time, even if it's challenging. Or B, I often struggle to stay committed. I sometimes abandon my goals. Question 3, how do you manage distractions when working on something important? A, I minimize all distractions so I can stay focused on the task. Or B, I'm easily distracted. Actually, I find it hard to concentrate. Question 4, how do you prioritize your day? A, I prioritize my tasks that align with the goal. Or B, I like to work on impulse and just go with the flow. That's usually what dictates my actions. And finally, question 5, how do you respond to setbacks or failure? A, I really try to view them as learning opportunities and find a way to push forward. Or B, I find them discouraging. Sometimes I give up. All right, how did you score? You either scored mostly A's, mostly B's, or a little mix of both. And here's what it says about you. Mostly A's, you've got discipline down to a science. You already understand that discipline involves making choices that benefit your growth and well-being. You tackle difficult tasks, you view setbacks as learning opportunities, and this strong sense of discipline is going to probably lead you into a lifestyle of lots of happiness and fulfillment. If you scored mostly B's, you tend to struggle a little with self-discipline, and this might get in the way of trying to reach your goals. You find it hard to focus, which can affect your ability to commit to something, and this can often lead to setbacks. But that doesn't mean things can't change, because when you decide to work on just one activity at a time, you have it in you to build the foundation needed for discipline. Discipline is about making good choices, and you're already halfway there, because building self-discipline is a process, and every small step takes you one step closer toward self-love. Now, what if you scored a mix of A's and B's? You show some signs of self-discipline. It's a good thing. but you might find yourself needing to work on consistency in certain areas. Recognizing the importance of discipline as an act of self-love is the first step. But by identifying the areas where you have small struggles, you can implement small, manageable steps that lead to success. Those little bits of success will put you on the right path to more discipline. Over time, these efforts will build on the previous, leading to lots of personal growth and happiness. Now, the commitment to self-love through discipline is not always an easy feat, but there are things that you can do to become more disciplined if you feel like that's an area that you need to improve. So what are they? Let's talk about 4 different ways. The first one is to own your own flaws. We all have shortcomings, but understanding what they are will help us overcome them. Whether you eat too much when you're stressed, whether you're ill-tempered, whether you have an addiction, or whether you work too much and just don't have enough time for others. Identifying your flaws is the first step. Now, too many people pretend like their flaws don't even exist or that they're not really a big deal. But until we acknowledge them, we cannot change them. Now, I realize, of course, that all kinds of factors come into play here, because sometimes we don't see the flaws that others see in us. We often get defensive about them when they're brought up. Now, I'm not here to tell you about your flaws. You get to decide. But what I think it comes down to is this. You've got to ask yourself this question and be completely honest about it. Is it frequently causing negativity or chaos in my life? If the answer is yes, it's probably a problem that shouldn't be ignored. So say you bought a gym membership with great intentions of going to the gym, exercising, getting in shape, getting in better health. But right now you find yourself a little too busy to go to the gym. But the fact that you're not going is on your mind every single day. You feel guilty about putting it off, but you do tell yourself that you're really busy and that's why you're not there. Maybe you'll just go tomorrow. But then you kind of feel ashamed because you're still paying for that membership, but you haven't been showing up. So that's when you ask yourself the question, is it affecting my daily life? Is it causing chaos or negativity? In this example, the answer is yes. These thoughts and feelings that are constantly going on inside of your mind should be a clear sign that something needs to change. And while you might not view this example as a flaw, so to speak, it is the lack of discipline that is causing this chaos. The next way to build discipline is to get rid of temptations. Temptation is a difficult thing to overlook. We often find ourselves promising that we'll do it tomorrow when temptation is knocking on our door. So for example, if you want to become a better eater, toss the junk food right out of your house. Don't go grocery shopping on an empty stomach. Maybe order online so you only get exactly what you wanted, avoiding temptation to randomly put things in your cart. Maybe you nap a lot. You don't want to sleep the day away. Toss the downtime and fill it purposefully. Fill up your books with things to do constantly. Get organized. You want to stop being distracted by social media? Put the phone down. Delete the apps so that it's harder for you to access whatever platform you're looking for. Set limits on your phone. They're not just for kids. Or maybe turn your phone to silent after a certain time of day, or don't take your phone with you everywhere you go. The less you have in the way of distractions, the more you can focus on ways to show up for yourself that brings fulfillment and enjoyment to your life. The third way that you can start bringing discipline in your life is to set goals that mean something to you and have an action plan ready to go in order to achieve them. I've created a video that you can check out that gives you the step-by-step plan to creating any goal. It takes you through the process of setting the goal and then working your way down to not what only you'll do every week and every day, but also the new habits that you're going to create with this system that will have you disciplined enough to show up for yourself every day. The one thing that helps me stay committed to this particular backward plan is something called the Elastic Habit. And I've also created a video for that you can check out. This habit tracker shows you how you can show up for yourself every single day, even if it's just a teeny tiny bit, so that you can feel the successes even on those hard days that you don't want to show up. I'll link both of those in the description below, but if you're setting goals and finding it hard to commit, these are 2 videos that you don't want to miss, because discipline is fun and exciting when we set any new goal. But studies show that motivation decreases quite rapidly. According to Forbes magazine, more than 50% of people who set resolutions never make it past the 3-month mark. And on top of that, only 6% of people who set resolutions are still sticking with them after a year. Now, let it be said that of course it does depend on the kind of goal that you're setting, but you get where I'm coming from. If you don't have a plan in place that keeps your motivation in check, research shows that you're probably going to drop that goal. All right, what is the fourth thing that you can do in order to get yourself on the disciplined path? Develop a growth mindset. A growth mindset is basically your belief in yourself that you can develop your abilities to get better at anything that you set your mind to. Your mind is amazingly powerful, and whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're going to be right. So you might as well start thinking that you can and get into a growth mindset. So when you practice telling yourself that your shortcomings can be worked on, that they can be improved, and that the discipline needed in order to work on those are worth the self-love required, you almost always immediately notice a positive change in your life. And if you're not super familiar with the difference between growth and fixed mindset, I'll attach a video where I've done a demonstration using sand and water to show the difference between growth and fixed mindset, and also to kind of give you an idea of why it's pretty beneficial for you to have a growth mindset. Like many things, the key to maintaining discipline is to start small. Are you ready to show up for yourself? If you've taken the time and you've actually walked through those steps above, you've already set a goal, and you're ready with the step-by-step actions of the plan that you need to put into place to reach that goal. Remember, discipline reveals your commitment to your hopes, dreams, and goals, even when, especially when, you don't want to show up on those hard days. And when you face those days, and you will, come on back to this video, re-watch it, or leave a comment so the rest of us can help be a support system for you in order to motivate you when you're feeling lost. And until the next time, trust your own journey.